What if I told you that one of history's greatest showmen wrote a blueprint for making money that's more relevant today than when it was written over 150 years ago? P.T. Barnum, the legendary circus owner and entrepreneur, didn't just build an entertainment empire. He cracked the code on financial success, and he laid it all out in a book called The Art of Money Getting: Golden Rules for Making Money. This isn't just another get-rich-quick scheme. Barnum built his fortune from absolutely nothing, failed multiple times, and always came back stronger. His principles aren't about tricks or shortcuts. They're about timeless truths that apply whether you're starting a business, climbing the corporate ladder, or building wealth in the digital age. In the next 30 minutes, we're going to walk through Barnum's Golden Rules, chapter by chapter. You'll discover why some people seem to attract money while others struggle their entire lives. You'll learn practical lessons you can apply starting today, and by the end, you'll understand what it really takes to master the art of money getting. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. Don't mistake your vocation. Barnum starts with what he calls the most important rule of all: finding your true calling. He tells the story of a young man who had a natural gift for carpentry, but insisted on becoming a doctor because it seemed more prestigious. The result? A mediocre physician who struggled financially his entire life when he could have been a prosperous craftsman. The lesson here is profound. We're living in an age where everyone wants to be an influencer, entrepreneur, or content creator. But Barnum warns us that true success comes from honest self-assessment. What are you naturally good at? What do people already come to you for? What activities make time fly by? Barnum emphasizes that there's no shame in any honest profession. A skilled mechanic can make far more money and find far more satisfaction than a struggling lawyer. The key is matching your natural abilities with market demand. He warns against choosing a vocation simply because it sounds impressive or because your parents want it for you. The practical application: take inventory of your skills and interests. Ask trusted friends what they think you're genuinely good at. Look at your past successes. What patterns emerge? Your vocation should feel like you're swimming downstream, not constantly fighting against your nature. When you find work that aligns with your natural abilities, making money becomes significantly easier because you're operating from a position of strength. Chapter 2. Select the right location. Once you know what you want to do, Barnum says you must choose where to do it. Location isn't just important, it's everything. He shares stories of talented merchants who set up shop in declining towns and failed, while less talented competitors thrived simply because they positioned themselves in growing areas. In Barnum's era, this meant choosing a city with good transportation, growing population, and economic opportunity. Today, the principle remains the same, but expands beyond geography. Your location includes your industry, your platform, your network, and yes, still your physical location if you have a brick-and-mortar business. Barnum warns against the sentimental mistake of staying in your hometown simply because it's familiar. He encourages young people to go where opportunity is expanding, not where it's contracting. This requires courage, but it's essential for financial success. The modern lesson: if you're in tech, you need to be where tech is happening, whether that's Silicon Valley, Austin, or building a digital presence online. If you're in real estate, you need growing markets, not dying ones. If you're building an online business, you need to be on platforms where your audience already gathers. Don't fight uphill battles when you could position yourself where the current naturally flows in your favor. Chapter 3. Avoid debt. This is where Barnum gets serious. He calls debt the very foundation of poverty and warns that it's destroyed more people than any other financial mistake. He's not talking about strategic business investment. He's talking about consumer debt and living beyond your means. Barnum shares a powerful story about a young merchant who bought expensive furniture and clothing on credit to impress customers. He reasoned that looking successful would attract business. Instead, the debt payments strangled his cash flow, and within 2 years, he was bankrupt. Meanwhile, his competitor started modestly, lived within his means, and eventually far surpassed him. The psychology of debt is insidious. Barnum explains that when you owe money, you lose your freedom to make good decisions. You take bad deals because you're desperate. You can't seize opportunities because your capital is already committed. You work for your creditors, not for yourself. The stress affects your health, your judgment, and your relationships. He acknowledges there are times when borrowing makes sense, buying productive assets, or investing in business growth. But he warns that most people deceive themselves. They call consumption investment. They finance lifestyles, not assets. The practical rule Barnum gives is simple. If you can't afford to lose it, you can't afford to buy it on credit. Live below your means, build reserves, and only take on debt when the expected return significantly exceeds the cost. In today's world of credit cards, buy now, pay later, and lifestyle inflation, this advice is more crucial than ever. The wealthy use debt strategically. The poor use it to fund consumption. Chapter 4. Persevere. Barnum knew failure intimately. He went bankrupt, lost his museum to fire, faced countless setbacks, yet always bounced back stronger. In this chapter, he argues that perseverance is what separates those who achieve lasting success from those who achieve temporary success. He distinguishes between stubborn persistence in a failing venture and perseverance in a sound one. The key is having a solid foundation, the right vocation in the right location, and then refusing to quit when obstacles arise. Most people give up just before their breakthrough. Barnum shares stories of merchants who close shop after a slow first year, only to watch someone else open in the same location and thrive. Why? Because it takes time to build a reputation, establish relationships, and become known. The second person benefited from simply outlasting the first. He emphasizes that every business goes through seasons. There will be slow periods, unexpected challenges, and moments when quitting seems rational. But if your fundamentals are sound, perseverance almost always wins. The compound effect of showing up consistently, even when results are slow, eventually creates momentum. The modern application is crucial for anyone building a business, career, or brand. Content creators often quit after 6 months of slow growth, not realizing they were 3 months from breaking through. Entrepreneurs give up on viable businesses because year one was hard. Employees switch jobs constantly, never building the deep expertise that commands premium pay. Barnum's advice: once you've chosen wisely, commit fully. Give your venture enough time to succeed. Most overnight successes took years of unseen perseverance. Don't let short-term results cloud your long-term vision. Chapter 5. Whatever you do, do it with all you might. Mediocrity pays mediocre wages. Barnum argues that whatever you choose to do, you must pursue it with complete dedication. Half-hearted efforts produce half-hearted results. The world pays premium prices for excellence and barely notices adequacy. He contrasts two shopkeepers. One opens at 9, leaves at 5, does the bare minimum, and wonders why business is slow. The other arrives early, stays late, knows every product intimately, remembers every customer's preference, and constantly improves. The second builds a thriving enterprise, while the first barely survives. Barnum emphasizes that doing things with all your might doesn't mean working yourself to death. It means full engagement when you're working. It means continuous improvement. It means caring deeply about the quality of your output. It means treating your work as a craft, not just a paycheck. This principle applies everywhere. If you're a writer, study the masters, practice daily, refine your craft obsessively. If you're a salesperson, know your product better than anyone. Understand your customers deeply, perfect your pitch. If you're building a digital product, obsess over user experience. Seek feedback constantly. Iterate relentlessly. The practical lesson is that excellence is rarely crowded. Most people do just enough to get by. When you bring full commitment to your work, you immediately stand out. Customers notice. Employers notice. The market notices. And it rewards you accordingly. Chapter 6. Depend upon your own personal exertions. Barnum has strong words about self-reliance. He warns against waiting for inheritance, luck, or others to make things happen for you. The most dangerous mindset is believing someone else will solve your financial problems. He shares stories of young men who wasted their potential waiting for a wealthy relative to die, only to discover the inheritance was far smaller than expected or came with conditions that made it worthless. Meanwhile, their peers who relied on themselves built independent wealth. This doesn't mean refusing help or collaboration. It means not making your success dependent on factors outside your control. Barnum emphasizes that even beneficial partnerships and support should supplement your own efforts, never replace them. The psychology here is critical. When you know you're ultimately responsible for your success, you make better decisions, you work harder, you take calculated risks, you don't make excuses. The moment you start depending on external salvation, whether it's a lottery ticket, a rich spouse, or a big break, you surrender your power. In today's world, this means not waiting for your employer to give you a raise, for your startup idea to attract investors, or for your content to go viral. Build skills, create value, solve problems, and financial success becomes the inevitable result of your exertions. External opportunities come to those who are already moving, not those who are waiting. Chapter 7. Use the best tools. Barnum argues that false economy is expensive. He tells the story of a farmer who bought cheap tools to save money, then spent twice as much time doing half as much work, ultimately earning far less than his neighbor, who invested in quality equipment. This principle extends to everything: education, software, professional services, equipment, even your health. The cheapest option often costs the most in the long run through wasted time, poor results, and missed opportunities. However, Barnum clarifies that best doesn't always mean most expensive. It means most effective for your purpose. A carpenter needs professional-grade tools. Buying consumer-grade equipment is false economy. But buying tools beyond your current skill level is also wasteful. The modern application is everywhere. A freelancer working on a decade-old computer losing hours to slowness and crashes, is sabotaging their income. A business owner refusing to pay for professional legal or accounting help, then facing expensive problems later. A content creator using poor audio equipment, making their excellent content unwatchable. The practical rule: invest in tools that multiply your effectiveness. If spending money saves time, improves quality, or enables capabilities you couldn't otherwise have, it's usually worth it. But distinguish between productive tools and consumption disguised as investment. Chapter 8. Don't get above your business. Success can plant the seeds of failure. Barnum warns about the entrepreneur who, after achieving some success, decides the daily details of business are beneath them. They hire others to do everything while they enjoy the fruits of their labor. Soon, the business declines because nobody cares like the owner. He shares multiple stories of merchants who lost fortunes this way. They stopped visiting their shops, stopped understanding their customers, stopped monitoring quality. They became disconnected from the very activities that made them successful in the first place. Barnum isn't arguing against delegation or rest. He's warning against losing touch with your business fundamentals. The most successful people remain engaged with core activities even as they scale. They may delegate execution, but they never delegate awareness. This principle is particularly relevant for the digital age. Business owners who stop creating content because they have people for that often watch their brand decline. Entrepreneurs who stop talking to customers lose market awareness. Leaders who become too removed from operations make poor strategic decisions. The balance Barnum advocates is this: scale your business, build teams, and delegate tasks, but never lose direct connection to what makes your enterprise valuable. Stay involved enough to spot problems early, understand market shifts, and maintain the culture that drove your initial success. The moment you think you're above the fundamentals is usually the moment decline begins. Chapter 9. Learn something useful. Barnum emphasizes practical education. He's not against formal schooling, but he values knowledge that directly applies to making money and improving life. He argues that learning bookkeeping, understanding human nature, mastering communication, and developing practical skills are often more valuable than abstract academic pursuits. He contrasts a young man who spent years studying ancient languages with another who learned accounting and business principles. The first struggled to find work. The second was immediately valuable to employers and eventually built his own prosperous business. The key is strategic learning. Barnum asks, will this knowledge make you more effective at your vocation? Will it help you better serve customers? Will it make you more valuable in the marketplace? If yes, it's worth learning. If not, it might be interesting, but isn't essential for money getting. In today's economy, this means constantly updating your skills. Technology changes, markets evolve, and what made you valuable 5 years ago might not be enough today. The highest earners are perpetual learners who stay ahead of market demands. The practical application: identify the skills most valuable in your field, then systematically develop them. If you're in business, understand marketing, finance, and sales. If you're in tech, master the languages and frameworks in demand. If you're creative, develop business acumen to monetize your talents. Learning should be strategic, not random. Chapter 10. Let hope predominate. but be not too visionary. Barnum strikes a delicate balance here. He argues that optimism is essential for success. Pessimists rarely achieve great things because they don't try. But he warns against unrealistic fantasies that lead to poor decisions. He describes the difference between productive hope and destructive fantasy. Productive hope says, "This is difficult, but achievable if I work systematically." Destructive fantasy says this will be easy and quick. One drives action, the other drives disappointment. Barnum shares stories of speculators who were so convinced of their genius that they ignored obvious warning signs. They confused imagination with reality. Meanwhile, successful entrepreneurs combined optimism with rigorous reality testing. They hoped for the best while preparing for challenges. The psychological insight here is powerful. Optimism gives you the energy to begin and persevere. Realism keeps you from devastating mistakes. You need both. Pure pessimism prevents action. Pure fantasy invites disaster. The sweet spot is realistic optimism, believing you can succeed while honestly assessing obstacles. He also warns against get-rich-quick schemes that prey on visionary thinking. Throughout history, countless people have lost money to schemes that promised easy wealth. They appealed to the dreamer, not the realist. Barnum's rule, if it sounds too good to be true, it absolutely is. The modern application is crucial in an age of overnight success stories and viral wealth. Yes, maintain hope and ambition. Yes, dream big. But ground those dreams in realistic plans, honest effort, and verified principles. Question anything that promises fast, easy money. Build wealth through proven methods, not magical thinking. Chapter 11. Do not scatter your powers. Focus is force. Barnum argues that trying to do everything means doing nothing well. He warns against the person who starts multiple businesses simultaneously, each getting inadequate attention, all eventually failing. Meanwhile, the person who focuses on one venture masters it, makes it profitable, and only then expands to another, builds lasting wealth. He emphasizes that diversification comes after success, not before. First, become excellent at one thing. Build a cash-flowing asset. Establish yourself as the best in your niche. Then, with resources and expertise, you can carefully expand. Barnum shares stories of merchants who carried too many product lines, none deeply enough to become known for anything. Customers didn't know what they specialized in, so they shopped elsewhere for expertise. The successful competitor carried fewer items, but knew them intimately and became the go-to source. This principle applies to skills, projects, businesses, and even attention. In today's distracted world, focus is increasingly rare and, therefore, increasingly valuable. The person who masters one skill deeply earns more than the person who dabbles in 10. The business that solves one problem excellently beats the business that solves many problems poorly. The practical rule: resist the temptation to chase every opportunity. Say no to most things so you can say yes fully to the right things. Build depth before breadth. Master your core business before expanding. Establish expertise before diversifying. Once you have a strong foundation, then and only then should you carefully add complementary ventures. Chapter 12. Be systematic. Chaos is expensive. Barnum emphasizes that systematic organization multiplies effectiveness. He contrasts a disorganized merchant who constantly loses time searching for paperwork, forgetting commitments, and making mistakes with an organized competitor who runs efficiently. Systems compound. A good filing system saves minutes daily, which becomes hours monthly, which becomes days yearly. A systematic approach to customer relationships means no one falls through the cracks. A systematic financial tracking means you always know where you stand. Barnum argues that most business failures stem from disorganization rather than lack of opportunity, missed deadlines, forgotten follow-ups, lost records, unclear processes. These kill more businesses than market conditions. The modern application is everywhere. Successful people have systems for everything important. They systematize their schedule, their finances, their projects, their communications. They don't rely on memory or inspiration. They rely on repeatable processes. The practical lesson: wherever you're experiencing stress, mistakes, or inefficiency, create a system. Document your process. Automate what you can. Build templates and checklists. Transform chaos into order, and you'll immediately become more productive and profitable. Chapter 13. Read the newspapers. Barnum emphasizes staying informed about market conditions, economic trends, and opportunities. In his era, newspapers were the primary information source. Today, it's about consuming relevant information strategically. He argues that ignorance of market conditions is expensive. The merchant who doesn't know which products are trending misses opportunities. The investor who ignores economic indicators makes poor decisions. The entrepreneur who doesn't understand cultural shifts gets left behind. However, Barnum also warns against information overload and useless news. He advocates for selective, strategic information consumption, focused on what directly impacts your business and opportunities. The modern application means curating your information diet. Follow industry leaders, understand market trends, know your competitors, stay aware of technological changes, and monitor economic conditions relevant to your field. But avoid the trap of consuming news for entertainment or anxiety. The practical rule: dedicate time daily to relevant information, but filter ruthlessly. What you consume should inform decisions, reveal opportunities, or improve skills. Everything else is distraction disguised as education. Chapter 14. Beware of outside operations. Barnum has sharp words about side ventures and speculative investments that distract from core business. He tells stories of successful merchants who, flush with cash, invested in unrelated schemes, railroads they knew nothing about, land deals in distant places, partner businesses they couldn't monitor. Most lost money. His point isn't against investment or diversification. It's about staying within your circle of competence. The person who succeeds in retail doesn't automatically understand mining. Expertise doesn't transfer across vastly different domains. He emphasizes that your core business deserves your attention and capital. The best investment is usually in what you know best. Before seeking external opportunities, maximize the one you've already proven. Barnum also warns about the psychology of outside operations. They often seem more exciting than the daily work of your actual business. They promise quick returns. They feed ego. But they're usually distractions that erode both focus and capital. The modern lesson is particularly relevant in an age of crypto, NFTs, day trading, and constant investment opportunities. Yes, invest and diversify, but do so carefully and with money you can afford to lose. Don't let exciting side ventures damage your main income source. Don't assume success in one domain automatically means you'll succeed in another. The practical rule: master one thing first, make it profitable and stable, then carefully expand only into areas where you have genuine expertise or can acquire it through proper study and mentorship. Chapter 15. Advertise your business. Barnum was a master promoter, so it's no surprise he dedicates significant attention to advertising. But his advice goes deeper than buy ads. He emphasizes that excellent work must be made known, not just exist. He shares the story of two equally skilled craftsmen. One did beautiful work in obscurity, barely making ends meet. The other did equally good work, but constantly promoted it through word of mouth, demonstrations, strategic partnerships, and yes, paid advertising. The second built a thriving business while the first struggled. Barnum's key insight: the best product unknown is worth less than a mediocre product well promoted. This isn't about deception. It's about communication. You have a responsibility to let people know about value you're creating. He provides principles for effective promotion. First, your advertising must be truthful. Exaggeration might work short-term, but destroys reputation long-term. Second, advertising must be consistent and persistent. One ad does little. Sustained presence builds awareness. Third, creative presentation attracts attention in crowded markets. Barnum also emphasizes that everything communicates. Your storefront, your appearance, your customer service, your packaging, all advertise your business either positively or negatively. Professionalism in every detail is the best advertisement. The modern application is crucial because we live in an attention economy. Excellent work that nobody knows about doesn't generate income. Whether you're a freelancer, business owner, or employee seeking promotion, you must learn to promote value effectively. This doesn't mean being obnoxious or inauthentic. It means strategic communication. Build a professional presence. Share your work. Collect testimonials. Network intentionally. Use platforms where your audience gathers. Invest in visibility, the practical rule. Allocate time and money to making your value known. If you're providing genuine value, promotion is service. You're helping people find solutions to their problems. Chapter 16. Be polite and kind to your customers. Barnum emphasizes that customer relationships are everything. A rude merchant might make one sale. A kind merchant makes a customer for life. And loyal customers are worth far more than one-time transactions. He shares stories contrasting businesses. One had slightly better products, but terrible service. The owner was arrogant and dismissive. The other had adequate products, but exceptional service. The owner remembered names, listened to concerns, and went beyond expectations. Within years, the second thrived, while the first failed. The psychology is simple but profound. People buy from those they like and trust. Politeness builds trust. Kindness creates emotional connection. When customers feel valued, they return, refer others, and forgive occasional mistakes. Barnum extends this beyond just pleasantries. True customer care means understanding needs, solving problems, and treating people with respect regardless of their economic status. The small customer today might become the large customer tomorrow. In the modern economy, this translates to exceptional customer experience. Respond promptly to inquiries. Handle complaints graciously. Go the extra mile. Build relationships, not just transactions. With social media, every interaction can become public, positive or negative. The practical rule: treat every customer interaction as an investment in reputation and long-term business. Politeness costs nothing, but pays enormous returns. Chapter 17. Be charitable. Barnum advocates for generosity, but with an interesting twist. He's not purely altruistic. He recognizes that charity has practical benefits beyond moral virtue. Communities support generous members. Reputation for kindness attracts opportunity. Giving builds relationships that create business advantages. He emphasizes that charity shouldn't be about showy displays, but genuine concern for community welfare. The merchant known for quietly helping struggling families becomes beloved. The business that supports local causes builds goodwill that translates to customer loyalty. However, Barnum warns against giving beyond your means or allowing charity to become a business drain. The principle is to be generous in proportion to your success. As you earn more, give more. He also distinguishes between productive charity and enabling dependence. Help that empowers people to help themselves is superior to aid that creates permanent dependence. The modern application includes both traditional charity and forms like mentorship, knowledge sharing, and community contribution. The business that helps others, shares expertise freely, and contributes to its community builds a reputation that money can't buy. The practical rule: integrate generosity into your success plan. As you earn, give. As you learn, teach. As you rise, lift others. This isn't just moral, it's strategic for building long-term prosperity and meaningful relationships. Chapter 18. Don't blab. Barnum warns against sharing your business plans prematurely. He explains that talking about what you're going to do satisfies the psychological reward of accomplishment without actual accomplishment. It also invites competitors to copy your ideas and skeptics to discourage you. He shares stories of merchants who announced ambitious plans, only to face so much doubt and competition that they abandoned them. Meanwhile, those who worked quietly, then revealed finished projects, succeeded without interference. The principle applies to goals, strategies, and opportunities. Premature disclosure dilutes energy, invites obstacles, and rarely helps. Execute first, announce after. In today's social media culture of constant sharing, this advice is countercultural but crucial. Build in private, launch in public, let results speak louder than promises. Chapter 19. Preserve your integrity. Barnum's final major principle is perhaps most important. Your reputation is your most valuable asset. Short-term gains from dishonesty destroy long-term prosperity. Once trust is lost, it's nearly impossible to rebuild. He shares powerful stories of merchants who made fortunes through honest dealing and lost fortunes through single instances of deception. The market has a long memory. Communities talk. Today's small deception becomes tomorrow's business death. Barnum emphasizes that integrity means more than not lying. It means honoring commitments, treating people fairly, and doing what you say you'll do. It means charging fair prices, delivering promised value, and admitting mistakes. He acknowledges that dishonest people sometimes prosper short-term, but argues they almost always fall eventually. Meanwhile, those who build reputations for integrity create enduring value that compounds over decades. In the modern economy, this is amplified. Online reviews, social media, and digital records mean your reputation is permanently documented. One viral story of poor ethics can destroy a business overnight. The practical rule: make integrity non-negotiable. When facing pressure to cut corners, remember that your reputation took years to build and can be destroyed in moments. The highest earning individuals and most successful businesses share one trait: they can be trusted. So, there you have it. P.T. Barnum's timeless golden rules for making money, written over 150 years ago, yet shockingly relevant today. Why? Because human nature and fundamental business principles don't change. Let's recap the core insights. Find work that matches your natural abilities. Position yourself where opportunity flows. Avoid debt that steals your freedom. Persevere through obstacles. Commit fully to your work. Rely on yourself. Use the best tools. Stay connected to your business fundamentals. Learn strategically. Balance optimism with realism. Focus your energy. Build systems. Stay informed. Avoid distractions. Promote your value. Treat customers exceptionally. Give generously. Work quietly. And above all, guard your integrity. Notice what's missing from this list. Get rich quick schemes, shortcuts, hacks, tricks. Barnum knew what modern gurus often forget. Lasting wealth comes from timeless principles applied consistently over time. The question now is, what will you do with this knowledge? Because knowledge without action is worthless. Barnum didn't become a legendary success by reading. He became successful by applying these principles relentlessly, even through failures and setbacks. Here's your challenge. Choose 3 principles from this summary that resonate most. Not 10. 3. Write them down. Then identify one specific action you'll take this week to apply each principle. Maybe it's finally creating that marketing plan you've been avoiding. Maybe it's organizing your chaotic finances. Maybe it's refocusing your scattered energy on your core strength. Whatever it is, start today. Because here's the truth. Barnum proved over and over, these principles work for anyone willing to work them. Your background doesn't matter. Your education doesn't matter. Your current financial situation doesn't matter. What matters is whether you'll apply these golden rules consistently. The art of money getting isn't mysterious. It's not reserved for the lucky or talented. It's a learnable set of principles that, when practiced diligently, creates prosperity almost inevitably. Barnum built his fortune from nothing using exactly these principles. Countless others have done the same. The only question is, will you? Thanks for watching. If this summary gave you value, make sure to like and subscribe for more book summaries that can transform your life. And remember, the best time to start applying these principles was yesterday. The second best time is right now. Now go make it happen.